Rangers are bidding this weekend to take another step towards a record-breaking second successive treble. The League Cup is already theirs, the Championship is again heading their way, and they play Kilmarnock on Sunday in the semi-finals of the Tennant Scottish Cup.
The odds are stacked against Kilmarnock and their players know it, but there isn't the slightest trace of fear at Rugby Park.
No, not at all. We've coped quite well with them already this season in the 3 games that we've had. We beat them at Ibrox, and then the 2 other games they scored late on, so it was our mistakes, and we thought we were playing really well against them, and then those mistakes, and it cost us dearly.
So against all the odds, you think you could do it?
Why not?
Kilmarnock are the least fancied of the 4 to make the final, but that won't bother the Rugby Park team or their fans. Forbes McFall, whose own cup trail began at Cowdenbeath last December, went in search of Killie fans, young and old, as he took the second last step down his personal road to Hampden.
In the Killie shop this week, it's been their busiest time since Christmas. For the fans, kitting up for Hampden, new toys on offer alongside more traditional offerings. It's a family affair. For young and old, many away to declare their allegiance on the big day at Hampden.
We have this hat, it's a top hat, and Josie's got one on there at the moment. These, we've been selling loads of them, they only come in at the weekend. Second thing we have, a set of clappers. They've been very popular as well. I believe we're the first club to have them in Scotland so far.
Have they been selling well?
Yes, they have. We've only had them in a few days and they've been selling very well. And last but not least, the trumpet. It's not working.
That's not so good. Does that one work?
Second one. There we go. So we've really been doing well. We've a lot of new wee novelties in and the fans have been loving it.
83-year-old Killie fan Dick Thompson will be at Hampden on Sunday. He recalls the celebrations when Kilmarnock beat Rangers in the 1929 Cup final. The famous team, a 2-0 win against the odds.
You couldn't call it hysteria, but it was everybody had to let everything go because they've been holding it up so long.
Keeper Sam Clemmy, man of the match, a homespun hero.
He was a good goalkeeper, there was no question about that. The spectators had to have a sort of dig at him, a friendly dig. And it was, the wife won't let him hold the baby because he let it fall.
That's 3. What?
For Kilmarnock's present keeper, Bobby Geddes, safe hands on Sunday could be the passport to the biggest game of his career.
You get to 33 years old and you start thinking maybe these days have passed you by. I got to final when I was very young in my career, and at that time you think, oh, it'll happen again, but it takes a long, long time, and this time I'll give it my best shot.
And giving it their best shot and support, Kilmarnock's young fan club. In no doubt their team has what it takes to reach the final.
They've got some good players, most of them are young, but they've got smart players in it. And I think Kilmarnock's going to beat Rangers because they'll score thousands of goals.
Thousands of goals, no shortage of enthusiasm for the big day out. And whatever the outcome for Kilmarnock, the road to Hampden already well worth the journey.
And we'll have highlights of that game for you on Sunday, Kilmarnock against Rangers at Hampden, and on Saturday the best of the Dundee United against Aberdeen match, a double helping of Sports Scene, the road to Hampden. Tonight, the Cup semi-finals, Walter Smith on why he fears for his job, and can Tommy Burns' Kilmarnock knock out the holders? Hello, 4 teams will complete the road to Hampden this weekend, with both semi-finals of the Tennant Scottish Cup taking place at the National Stadium. A return trip to Hampden for the final is what they're all after. It's Aberdeen Dundee United tomorrow and Kilmarnock Rangers on Sunday.
Well, we've been to all 4 clubs in the build-up to the big games. Everyone, of course, is full of confidence. But unless Rangers keep winning, Scotland's most successful manager, Walter Smith, harbours fears for his future. Here's Chick Young.
Kilmarnock haven't won the Cup since 1929. 4 times since then they have appeared at Hampden, but on each occasion it was not to be. This week, manager Tommy Burns has been waging a personal battle against injury, hoping that just maybe he can play at least once more at Hampden. He has known cup joy with Celtic, of course, but he would be given legendary status in at least one part of Ayrshire if he could match that with Kilmarnock. But he knows exactly how good Rangers are.
I don't think Rangers need Tam Burns to tell them how good a side they are or what they've achieved over the years and everything like that, and all credit to them.
What are their strengths?
Their strengths are that they've got a lot of very, very good football players. They're very, very experienced. And the most important thing I feel that they've got about their squad is that they've got a phenomenal desire to keep winning things. And that takes a bit of beating when you've got very, very good quality footballers and they've got great desire about them to keep winning things.
The Burns admiration also stretches to Walter Smith.
For the amount he's achieved in the game, he remains a very, very humble man. And I think that's one of his most admirable qualities. Because he's been sensational at Rangers. And no doubt he'll go on and become one of the best managers of all time. But great respect for Walter Smith. And also the fact that he's kept himself very, very humble throughout all the good times I've had.
However, don't get the impression that Killie are heading for Hampden like sacrificial lambs. The players have enjoyed the build-up and are desperate to make the big splash of the tournament. And in George McCluskey, they have another player who has tasted cup success, again for Celtic. The Rangers goalkeeper who couldn't save George's shot 14 years ago was Peter McCloy. Now Peter's son Stephen is a teammate of McCluskey at Rugby Park.
Stephen's played a couple of games for us now. I believe his father comes to watch us, but I've never met him because any time I know him, he dives under a bus.
Is the danger possibly that they might freeze on a big occasion?
That's always a danger, but that could happen to anyone. I think the good thing about being there before, the experience, is that you tend to forget about the crowd and get on with it, whereas a young lad, they seem to be in awe of the place, and maybe for the first 10-15 minutes they're looking at the crowd and worrying about how they're going to play when really they should be getting on with it. But if you can't play under that pressure, it doesn't matter what age you are, you'll never be able to play on it.
Cup fever is rampant in Kilmarnock. The souvenir shop is doing a roaring trade in anticipation of a glorious Sunday afternoon at Hampden. But the optimism of the town isn't shared around the country. Others are writing Kilmarnock off. Like, for example, Dundee United manager Ivan Golatz, who has suggested United or Aberdeen are heading for a final against Rangers.
Well, I think that's something that we've just got to put up with. Ivan is somebody that's come into the country. I've got great respect for him. He's a lovely, lovely man, smashing man, great ideas on the game, and I think he's been a breath of fresh air to Scottish football. But the next time I see him, I better not go to the toilet yourself.
Well, I think I know what he means. Well,
all the action from tomorrow's second semi-final between Kilmarnock and Rangers. That's a classic cup confrontation between the favourites and the unfancied outsiders. Chick Young has been to the two camps this week as they prepared for tomorrow's big match.
Kilmarnock striker Bobby Williamson reading all about it, dreaming perhaps of what Monday's headlines might bring. Will they be proclaiming the arrival of Killie in the first final since 1960? The odds are heavily stacked against them, but that worried not at all the Rugby Park players as they enjoyed a relaxed build-up this week, whether that meant the first team squad getting into the swim of things or posing for publicity pictures at the local travel agent. But of course, Killie might not need the help of a tour operator to get them into Europe. 2 more victories in this year's Tennant Scottish Cup, and they'll be there in their own right. All they have to do is beat the odds, and their players will tell you that cup miracles do happen. After all, it's not as if they haven't beaten Rangers this season already.
We beat them at Ibrox, and then the 2 other games we scored late on, you know, so it was our mistakes, you know, and we thought we were playing really well against them, and then those mistakes, and it cost us dearly.
So against all the odds, you think you can do it?
Why not?
And it's goals such as this which have kept the Kilmarnock Cup dream alive.
Gus McPherson popping up in the most unlikely of positions. McSkimming!
Everybody's expecting Rangers to win, so it takes a bit of pressure off us anyway, so I don't think we're annoyed about it. If we are, we'll keep it to ourselves and we'll see how it goes.
Player-manager Tommy Burns has been fighting a lonely battle to beat injury and could yet grace Hampden tomorrow despite being written off early in the week, and there is little doubt his presence could be vitally important to a Kilmarnock team who cannot afford their young players to freeze.
Going back to maybe half a dozen years ago, I think Hamilton Accies indeed went to Ibrox and won 1-0. That was just at the start of Graham Souness's regime, when he had a lot of big name players and everything like that there. So it shows you there's always surprises in football, Chick. And I know myself, for the time I spent at Celtic, that was always a big fear that you'd be remembered as one of the players that lost a particular game, be it a Berwick Rangers or a Hamilton Accies or whatever like that. That was always a big fear that motivates you to make sure you're no part of anything like that.
You've enjoyed some great days, Tommy, as a player. How will this compare if you do win on Sunday?
I would think it would be right up there among the best of them. Purely for the fact that the fantastic support we've had here, certainly since I came here. But they've been very loyal all through the bad years when they were away in the first division, drifting in ultimately into the second division and going nowhere. I think they call them the dark days here. But the supporters were always very loyal to them. And it's for the people more than anything, and for the players who have worked so incredibly hard for us, that that's what would make it all the more special. Just for to see the happiness and the joy in their faces.
Meanwhile, Rangers' chance to make football history, the first club ever to win back-to-back domestic trebles. That means a repeat of last year's Tennant Scottish Cup triumph. And don't think Walter Smith isn't a worried man.
Well, football managers always worry. It doesn't matter. It's just part and parcel of the job. We had played 2 lower division teams in the first 2 rounds that we were involved in. And then we had a game against Hearts, which was a big game because they were on a good run. They had a couple of good away results in the league and in the cup competitions. And I thought that was a significant game for us in terms of getting to the semi-final. We played well that day, and I thought we deserved to win. So I mean, that's what the cup's about. I mean, it's playing well on the day, and we'll manage to do so against Hearts. So, I hope that we can repeat that against Kilmarnock on Sunday.
And highlights of Kilmarnock Rangers tomorrow afternoon, BBC Scotland on 1 at 5:05, together with highlights from Wembley, Manchester United against Oldham in the FA Cup semi-final. How do you see Kilmarnock Rangers going, Derek?
I think Kilmarnock have everything to play for. I mean, I hope they don't freeze on the day. I think that's what Tommy will be wondering. Don't freeze on the day. They've already beaten Rangers at Ibrox, but in the end, I think you've got to go for Rangers.
If Kilmarnock are to win, I would think they would have to score first.
Yeah, I would think so. If Rangers score an early goal, then that could open the floodgates, but I don't think they will.
OK. Well,
Kilmarnock haven't made it to a final in over 30 years, and with cup hopes moribund for that time, it's taken one of Scotland's brightest young managers to raise them again. But ex-Celtic star Tommy Burns won't allow anyone to get carried away with Rangers on the horizon.
Their strengths are that they've got a lot of very, very good football players. They're very, very experienced. And the most important thing I feel that they've got about their squad is that they've got a phenomenal desire to keep winning things.
Given those recommendations and Killie's own embattled position in the lower reaches of the league, you get long odds on an Ayrshire victory tomorrow. And yet the cup equals catharsis for Killie's supporters at the moment, and they're in the mood to party. Thousands from the town will turn out at Hampden, and their side is guaranteed a big hand, whether they win, lose or draw. As for Rangers, it doesn't get much better than this. Last year's cup final win completed the domestic treble. Now they're on the verge of another historic back-to-back clean sweep, although manager Walter Smith doesn't tolerate any talk of it in the Ibrox dressing room right now.
I never look towards trebles. You only look towards the games. You obviously know that with the position we're in the league, and if we can win on Sunday, we've got a chance of retaining that again. But I don't think it's wise to look too far forward in that respect.
Back in goal for Rangers tomorrow is Ali Maxwell after a midweek injury to Andy Gorham. The ex-Motherwell keeper's last memories of Hampden are both pleasurable and painful, thanks to the broken rib he sustained in his side's 4-3 cup final win over Dundee United.
Everybody you speak to nowadays still remembers that cup final, and I think probably many people remember it for many years to come. But I'd settle a lot less to do, and a lot less goals scored against me, if you like, on Sunday.
So it's Kilmarnock against Rangers, Dundee United versus Aberdeen. Who'll take another step along the road to Hampden?
Scotland, the holders Rangers, and Kilmarnock drew 0-0 in their Tennants Cup semi-final at Hampden. Despite their low position in the Premier Division, Kilmarnock created better chances, and Sean McSkimming forced a fine save from the Rangers goalkeeper Ali Maxwell. The replay is on Wednesday. The winners will play either Aberdeen or Dundee United in the final.